So Aries, you came through as the Princess of Coins, otherwise known as the Page of Pentacles in reverse, for the energy that you're currently in. And so what I'm getting from this is that you may be feeling uninspired. I'm also getting sadness. Could also be a little bit of fear. I'm really getting heavy, like uninspired and sadness is what's coming through really strong at this point, okay? So I'm going to keep going. This is just kind of an initial lay of the land so I can get a feel for where you are. The person or the thing that you have in mind is coming up as the Three of Arrows in reverse, otherwise known as the Three of Swords. This typically is, especially in this position, talks about contracts, commitments, obligations that we're not stuck to, right? So where a breakup is a contract, right? So like we have a commitment with somebody and something goes awry and we can't be with that person anymore, or the contract needs to break, or whatever the case is. But it came up in reverse. So I'm wondering if the person or the thing that you're thinking about when you started this reading wants to reconcile in some way. All right, that doesn't necessarily mean, like, so if this was a relationship, like a romantic relationship, it doesn't necessarily mean get back together. But I'm getting reconciliation, trying to find a middle ground, trying to find a way to make both parties happy. Okay. The overall energy of the relationship came through as tradition, otherwise known as the Hierophant. So one interpretation here that I can get is, with these two cards coming out the way that they did, is, maybe there was a breakup or a dissolution of a marriage or a divorce or, a separation or something of that variety, right, with the Hierophant. Some kind of tradition or expectation was not maintained and not kept. So, Aries, looks like both parties are not thrilled, right? Both parties are not thrilled about the situation. But it's kind of like it's one of those deals that happen. So we'll get a little bit of clarification and see what additional details we can get. And I pulled 3 more cards to get a little bit more here. So I also pulled a card to see, Aries, where you would like the relationship to go. All right. And the card that came out for you is the Nine of Arrows. So what I'm getting from this, what you want from the relationship, I think you no longer want to be stuck in this type of energy, which is maybe some constant head cycling of thoughts, having repeat kind of stuck thoughts, possibly even dreaming about the person or having, hopefully not nightmares, but that's an option with this card too. This is stress. There's stress and anxiety for you around this relationship. And so I'm assuming this isn't what you want, unless you're a masochist or something and you like to torture yourself. So I'm assuming what this card is signaling is that you would like to get out of this energy and figure out a way how not to be in this, which is anxiety-ridden, stressed out, that kind of thing. So we'll definitely get clarification on this one, all right? The energy of the person or the thing that you're thinking about came through as the 10 of Cups. And when I first looked at this card, I got, you know, they want their happily ever after. And I don't know what that means, right? I don't know if that means with you or with somebody else. But the energy that they're coming in, what they want from the relationship that you are thinking about is a happy closure, a happy conclusion, an agreeable closure, agreeable conclusion. You know, if this is something that's ended between you two, I think they would like it to be amicable. If they have moved on, then they're focused on that, right? They're focused on their happily ever after with that piece. So for some of you, that might not be a very comfortable thing to hear. But that is what I'm getting with this. So whichever way this falls, Aries, in your in the relationship that you're thinking about, they want it. They want the dream, whatever that means. They want the dream relationship, the dream life, the happily ever after. And maybe they even want, if this is a cycle, Aries, that's been going on for a while, they might even want this to, you know, it's kind of one of those deals, like they would like to kind of close the cycle out. But sometimes it's hard, especially, you know, if we were married and there's children involved and, you know, there's all kinds of complications that can prevent someone from moving on and past the 10, because after we pass the 10, we go back to the Ace, which is a new beginning, right? So maybe they've been here for a while and haven't really been able to fully reset. And that's why it's coming out this way. You know, maybe they're in a comfortable place with themselves. Okay. And then one last card. I pulled a card to represent what the main obstacle or challenge was for the relationship that you have in mind. And I pulled the Temptation card in reverse. This is otherwise known as the Devil card in the normal tarot. And when I looked at this, and I definitely want to get clarification on this too, there was a thought that came to me. Let's see if it'll come back to me. It's not coming to me right now. This is the overall obstacle and challenge for the relationship. I had something and left my brain. So this will be the first one that I get clarification on. And then we're going to go to your 9 of Arrows, which is not fun. All right. So yeah, sometimes I see a card and I'll get something right away, and sometimes it takes a minute. In this case, I did get something when I first looked at them, and then it left my brain. All right, so for Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus, please get clarification on this Temptation card related to the main obstacle or challenge in the relationship that they're thinking about, please. Clarification on this Temptation card, please. 7 of Pentacles. You know, you'll notice if you hang out with me on my channel, you'll notice that I'm not going to just say something when I see a card. You know, if I'm not feeling inspired to say something, I'm not going to say something. I could have rattled off a bunch of things about the Devil card, but that's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to teach you about tarot. I'm here to tell you kind of what messages I get. So the 7 of Pentacles popped out. I'm going to pull out some more and then we'll take a look, okay? The King of Cups, the Emperor, and the Ace of Swords as clarifiers for this Devil in reverse. I'm feeling like there were some harsh truths. I'm getting harsh truth. Someone was very rigid and very stubborn in the way that they offered their love. And they were like maybe overly blunt with the way they dispensed their love. I know that sounds really weird to say, but like maybe they weren't as sensitive as they could have been, or as sensitive as you needed. And obligations, temptations that were let go of. Obligations and temptations that were let go of. I'm getting really mixed signals with this. I'm not getting clarity. I'm really not getting clear messages with this. If I'm being honest with you, Aries, I'm not going to just kind of rattle something off. I feel like you really worked at something. You really worked at whatever this was for you. That it's something that you really put effort and energy into. And you really wanted it to succeed. Something must have happened. Because where you were once, kind of quote unquote stuck together in marriage, that bond was released. And I'm guessing that I'm kind of feeling like this is you, Aries. Like this is something that when you planted this seed of, this marriage, you were really putting effort and energy toward it to nurture it and grow it. And clearly something happened. We have the Three of Swords, and you're not feeling very confident and inspired at the moment about it either. And so clearly something went down. And I'm getting very strongly that this has to do with commitment, contract, very likely marriage, that kind of thing with these cards, especially with the Three of Swords and the Hierophant for sure. This Devil in reverse is really throwing me for this reading. I guess what I'm getting here is instead of sticking with this, right? Because one of the things that the Devil upright gives us is that we stay chained to our obligations, right? We stay chained to the things that we've committed to, in some cases in a not good way, right? And so it didn't happen, right? You didn't stay chained. You didn't stay connected with this person. You didn't stay connected with this energy. If it's a job, you didn't stay connected with the job, even though you had originally put a bunch of effort and energy into it, right? And so apply it to your situation. But the way that so when I pull these cards, this is how I pulled them. So they're sitting like this on my table. And it took me a good minute, so thank you for your patience for me to kind of connect in with this. But now I see what this is saying. Where there was once a connection, and there might still be a reason for you guys to be connected. There was something about the connection that was broken, that needed to be broken, that is no longer. And so the commitments that you once had with this person are no more. All right. And I really feel like you're feeling disappointed about this. I really feel like this is your energy. And I have a feeling, based on these guys, right? So the Emperor is somebody who is very strong-willed, very determined, probably doesn't take advice very well, and does whatever the F he wants because he's the Emperor. The Knight of Cups, you know, I can read the Knight of Cups in a lot of different ways. It has to do, just very generally has to do with how we bring our emotions forward towards something or someone, right? And sometimes the Knight of Cups is genuine, and sometimes the Knight of Cups is full of shit. But those are stories for another day. And then the Ace of Swords, of course, is about some kind of new truth. So coupled with these cards is kind of what I'm getting, like some kind of truth came out and it kind of created this whole new dynamic. I'm guessing this Eight of Swords was, well, I'm guessing this combination, the stubbornness of the Emperor coupled with maybe some harsh words from the Emperor about the relationship and about the love message. Their way of expressing love might have been a little bit, or maybe the way that they broke it off, or it's something tied to that is what I'm getting here. All right, that was a challenge. That was much more of a challenge than it usually is for me. So I'm wondering, Aries, if this is like all, kind of screwy in your brain, if you're not even exactly clear, WTF, because this was really like muddled. And I don't typically get muddled messages. So this is interesting. So maybe leave me comments and let me know if this situation is muddled for you, because it's definitely kind of muddled for me right now. All right, so let's look next at this Nine of Arrows for you, Aries. This is the energy for you of what you would like for the relationship. So clarification, please, for Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus on this Nine of Arrows related to this relationship. What does Aries want? The Chariot, the Nine of Wands, and the Six of Wands. Wow. These two cards have very related energies for me. So Aries, yeah, you definitely want out of this shit. All right, so what you want for this relationship is to get out of this. Right, swords are all about our intellect and our mental processes. So you are in your head about some shit tied to this relationship, right? And it probably keeps you up sometimes. It might even give you nightmares sometimes. It definitely causes you anxiety and stress. And so what you want is to move forward in a healthy way and to find your this, I kind of feel like maybe they have found some kind of peace and tranquility and happiness, and you want it too, right? The Six of Wands is all about overcoming and being successful in a struggle that we had, right? And this is definitely a struggle card. The card before the Six of Wands is the Five of Wands, and the Five of Wands is about for me, I call it the squabble card because it's not an all-out battle necessarily, but there are challenges tied to the fives of any five of any suit, and so you want the six, right? You want harmony. You want balance, you want stability, and you want to move past, right? This Chariot is definitely saying, I want to move past this. I don't want to be here anymore, And the Nine of Wands is interesting in this deck, because in this deck, it's really all about the struggle that leads us to our self-expression. So this is not an easy energy at all, but it's like, he's kind of almost like the phoenix rising from the ashes here. He's been through some shit, right? This guy's been through some shit, but he figured out how to get out of the shit. And now he has learned how to, you know, be this beautiful being, whatever he is, and fully express himself, right? And so that makes sense. That really does make sense for what you want from this relationship. So all right, so, man, this one's convoluted. I don't think y'all want anything from this relationship, if I'm being honest. You know, I kind of feel like this is just stuck energy. I'm feeling like this is just stuck energy, and you guys are on totally different wavelengths, I'm getting. And you want this. You want to be able to move forward and move on and move past, and maybe that's what this reading is about, and maybe that's why these messages are coming out, is to remind you that this is what you want. And if need be, to, light a fire under your rear to keep moving forward with finding that healing, so that you can have that full expression of yourself that you probably have wanted for a long time.